And the topic for today, talking friendship, and,
Oh,
and
yes.
honestly, if you can't make human friends, there's always dogs because they're likely to be more loyal and more forgiving. But particularly as we get older, it was so easy to make friends when I was younger, but now that I'm older, honestly, can I be bothered? It just seems so difficult nowadays, especially as a non-digital native. I'm not sure I'm equipped to take that job on. John, what's your thoughts?
Well, even those people that do spend a lot of time online, which can enrich friendships, but unfortunately, spending an hour or so scrolling through Facebook tends to reinforce the myth that everyone else is having a party except me.
Yeah.
And um, and that makes people just even more locked up inside.
Hmm.
I actually organize a cycling group. I'm not particularly sporty, but I enjoy getting out of my bike, and so invited people along.
Yep.
And now there are we have a group called the Cafe Cruisers. It's
Yep.
non-competitive, just a bunch of people like myself out, mostly on e-bikes. There's no membership. We ride slowly and wobble around and enjoy each other's company. And we start at a cafe and end at a cafe. I call it calorie neutral cycling. The idea is to eat and consume at least as many calories as we burn.
Yep.
And there's about 700 now that have signed up on for it,
Wow.
though not all of them turn up by any
That's quite a
means.
traffic hazard, John.
What's that?
That's quite a traffic hazard.
Oh, yeah. It's
700.
never more than, we never have groups of more than, say, 30 at a time. But even that,
Yeah.
I do urge people to be considerate and courteous and kind and do a lot of apologizing and ride single route. Anyhow, that's another topic.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I know people enjoy the cycling, but what they really get out of it is the opportunity to meet and have fun with people.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that because they tell me. Numerous people have sort of cycled up beside me and they said, John, do you realize how many boxes this group ticks for people?
Wow.
And they're usually talking about other people that they just wouldn't have a social life if we didn't have this group. And I know of at least 3 couples that have teamed up as a result of being on the Cafe Cruises. That is not a primary objective of the group, I hasten to add. It just seems to happen out of those friendships. And so, I think it's cool seeing friendships form, and I've made friends too. We had a party at my place this last weekend, and they were all friends basically that have made through cycling. And so there's nothing particularly amazing about my group.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, it is a pretty amazing group. But the thing is, modern people just don't have those opportunities to meet and mingle like that anymore.
Yeah.
Well, if they are out there, they're not taking them. People don't seem to belong to clubs or lodges or churches or things. And after you stop mixing with people on the sideline when your kids are doing sport, that's the last sort of time when you're all thrust together with a whole lot of other adults.
Mm-hmm.
People just sit at home. And I saw a little meme of someone saying, I'm sitting at home alone because everybody who's like me is also sitting at home alone.
Yeah.
They don't go out.
Yeah.
And so if you're wanting a party, have one, throw one. Maybe that's a bridge too far. How about just inviting someone over to watch the rugby with you, or say, well, hey, look, we're having Thai takeaways. Do you want to come and join us?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people just think, oh, no, I couldn't have people over because the lounge needs wallpapering and we need new furniture and, our dinner set has mismatching plates. We can't have people in. And there's this terrible myth that people have that if we let people in our front door, we will be judged.
Yeah.
And do you know what? You possibly will be. There are some people like that. But honestly, if they come to your house and they judge you and that you don't end up being friends, thank goodness for that. You've spared yourself a lot of anguish of having a friend who's like that. So don't worry about it. That's, I think most people would just be so delighted and surprised to be invited out to someone's place that, they'll excuse all sorts of squalor. They don't mind the odd cobweb on the furniture. I mean, rats nibbling your ankles from underneath the sofa is probably a bit much. I do actually tell people when they're coming to my place to make sure that their tetanus shots are up,
especially with the dogs, right?
Yeah.
Is it more difficult as we get older, John? Do we get more set in our ways? Do we?
Absolutely.
Yep.
There's so many lonely people in their 60s and 50s, 60s, 70s and older. Often because maybe some of them, they have only a small friend set and they've died, or they've relocated or moved, or their friends were all related to their children's friendships. That happens a lot. Or maybe their relationship with their partner has busted up and their partner got custody of the friends, if you know what I mean. You know how they have disputes over who gets custody of the children. Well, there's also who gets custody of the friends when a relationship breaks up. And so, yes, there's lonely people out there. And so a couple of things, just realize those myths. Not everybody's having a party. The people that socialize actually make the effort to socialize. Don't worry about what other people are thinking about you. So, you know, don't worry too much about people are going to think about your home, for instance, if you invite them in. And lastly, you don't need a lot of friends. I mean, Facebook sometimes gives the impression that, wow, look at this person. They've got 600 friends on their Facebook page or something. No, they haven't. If you can think of one person that if you needed to have a talk with someone, you could phone up at 4 o'clock in the morning and they would answer the phone and not slam it shut, you're a very lucky person. I mean, if a name flicked through your mind then when I said you could ring them at 4 a.m., you are a very fortunate person. You've got a good friend. Now, please don't call them at 4 a.m. just to test the theory. The idea that you could think of someone that could talk to you at that time, that's fantastic. A good friend is someone that you can share your bad news with and they don't back away because of discomfort. They go, and listen. Someone you can share your good news with and they don't try and top it with a story of their own successes or triumphs and things. They're a good friend. And you only need a few of them. You only need a few of them. But I do urge people, if you're feeling a bit lonely, to overcome your own lack of confidence and invite some people.
Well, and hey, hopefully not all 700 of them will turn up to your place at once wearing lycra and demanding a cup of tea, John.
Flick us your address. We'll ride the cafe cruises through your backyard.
I think possibly COVID and the lockdowns made this worse. It just made us so independent in our little bubbles that that we didn't want to go outside of our bubbles, and we were all had to be independent and pull up the proverbial drawbridges around our houses. But I mean, hey, that's so last year's excuse. And I was thinking, you know, if people are listening to this and they're saying, yes, there is somebody that I could call, important to ask the question, so when was the last time you called them? Because relationships need a bit of maintenance, that actually perhaps getting together and chatting with them and asking them about their life, sometimes when you're not having a crisis, isn't a bad idea either.
I think it's... there's also this weird thing that people will think I'm weird if I make the first step they'll think that I'm hitting on them or that I'm creepy or something like that. Take the risk. Take the risk. I mean, the chances are if there are lonely people all around you and they just need someone to take the first step. And it's not creepy, unreasonable, weird or predatory to actually ring someone up and saying, hey, I was just thinking about you, wondering how you're getting on. And you're actually using the voice function of a telephone that people tend not to use. And if you can't do that, at least send them a text.
Exactly. Embrace the weird.
Except it sounds like those scam ones, doesn't it? Hi, how are you? Oh, yes, someone after my bank details again.
But sometimes it's just nice to hear a friendly voice, even if it has a slightly weird electronic accent. Hey, John, thank you for good wisdom and advice. Don't sign me up for your cycling club, whatever you do. But hey, wonderful to chat with you on the radio again.
My pleasure. Cheers.